Welcome to another edition of Avery Dennison Reflective Tips and Tricks. Today we're going to be talking about plotter cutting of reflective sheeting and overlay. There are many different models and manufacturers of plotters available. Today we're going to review the Graphtec FC8000. We're going to walk through the different components on the plotter and then share best practices for how to cut overlay and reflective sheeting. You can break the plotter components down into a few key parts. First, we have the friction rollers. You can see in this model we have 5, so 2 on the outside and then 3 in between. This helps to keep the sheeting flat as it feeds through the plotter, while also providing your forward and backwards movement. The second component is the plotter head itself. It provides cross-direction movement while housing all of your cutting tools. So they are your cross-cut blade, which cuts off your sheets between jobs, and this arm, which provides your downforce while plotter cutting, while also housing your blade and blade holder. And the third component is the backing strip. This is typically a plastic or Teflon that is designed to be low friction while offering a smooth surface for the blade and sheeting to run across. And what this does is provide protection to your blades in the off chance that you do cut through the material. Rather than destroying your blade, it eats up this, which is a much cheaper, much easier piece to replace than the actual blade itself. There are 2 main blade types we're going to discuss today. On the left, you see a 45-degree blade. This is good to use for overlay, vinyl, or beaded films such as engineering grade or commercial grade. On the right, you have a higher angle 30 or 60-degree blade. It really depends on your manufacturer what they call it. But in essence, the higher angle allows you to get more pressure into the film, and it's best to use with thicker films such as Prismatic or high-intensity beaded. Your first step is selecting the blade type. In this case, we're going to be cutting Prismatic film, so we're going to use the 30-degree high-angle blade. So insert the blade holder into the control arm. Make sure the tab is over the lip on the blade holder, and tighten down the thumb screw. Your next step is to load the media. Simply pull down on the media lever, load your roll on the rear unwind, and then feed it through the friction rollers. You want to be careful to align it so that your outside friction rollers are along the edge of your sheeting. The plotter uses those last 2 friction rollers to determine its boundaries. So wherever you set those rollers is going to determine where it's going to cut. So your remaining 3, then you want to make sure that they're spaced evenly between. Once it's set, lift your media lever back up. When you close the media lever, the menu is going to give you a few options depending on what you're trying to load, whether it's a roll or a sheet. In this case, we're loading a roll, so select option 1. And this will start the plotter head to sense the width of the media, so it knows how much room it has to cut within. Your next step is to dial in the conditions. The 2 most important which are pressure and blade depth. We can represent their interaction very simply through a chart. So if you look on your screen, on the left you have blade depth, and on the bottom you have pressure. And in the middle there's a green triangle. That green triangle represents the area of good quality cutting. And you can see if you drop to the left of that triangle, you can see we have enough blade depth but not enough force, causing an incomplete cut. If you look below that triangle, we now have enough force but not enough blade depth, also resulting in an incomplete cut. To the top right of the triangle, we now have too much force and too much blade depth, resulting cutting through the entire structure, including the liner, which will result in premature wear of your backing strip and your blades. And what's important to note, if you look at that green triangle itself, the bottom edge, where it is the widest, is when the blade depth is set appropriately. When your blade depth is correct, you can run with a much wider range of pressures, so you're a little more robust in being able to handle a wider range of conditions. The easiest way to dial in your blade depth and pressure is through use of a test cut. To do so, press the condition button, which will bring up this menu, giving you the option to do a cut test. So either press left for a single or right for a triple. I like using the triple option because it allows you to dial in your force a little bit easier, where your center triangle outlined by the square is your current force setting, one to the left is just one below that, and the one to the right is 1 point above that. So let's go ahead and do that. So press the right button and select force. So press 1. And what you're looking for is a nice clean cut around the edge of both the square and the triangle, and also to make sure you're not getting cut through on the liner. So you can see here we've got a very light scratch on the surface, but no cut through. So we're dialed in. If you find the need to make adjustments to the force, speed, or other auxiliary settings, that can be changed through the condition menu. If you need to adjust the blade depth itself, that's simply done by turning the knob on the top of the blade holder clockwise or counterclockwise. When doing a test cut on overlay, there's actually 2 levels. Instead of just looking for liner cut through, now you're looking to see if the blade is leaving an indentation on the liner. And if you look, what you can see is you actually get some pre-release of the overlay. So right now our blade is set a little bit too deep. So we're going to back off the blade depth a little further and do another test cut. So now you can see you got a nice clean edge on the front, so you can see the difference in the face, and also on the back side it's nice and clean. So now you can see I'm getting a really good quality cut around all the edges, so it will weed much better if the blade depth is not set too deep. So now that we have our conditions set, we're ready to start cutting. So you can see we've got it dialed in to cut a nice clean edge. The D, as an example, cuts and weeds really easily. So you can see by following these simple principles, you can dial in your plotter to cut anything from a thick prismatic down to a thin overlay. For more information on our products and videos like these, please visit reflectives.averydennison.com.